everyone, I'm Dipanjali and I will be walking you through in today's product webinar. We're going to focus on a very specific problem that shows up across most mid to large organizations. Software licenses that are being paid for but not actually being used. We'll talk through why it happens, what it costs, and I'll show you exactly how CloudEagle handles it. Here's a question worth sitting with. How many software licenses does your organization currently provision? And how many of those are tied to someone who's actively using those tools? For most organizations, that's the difficult question to answer accurately. People get provisioned when they join, they change roles, go on leave, or leave the organization entirely. And the licenses, they keep on running. Departments buy tools, use them for a quarter, move on to something else, and the subscriptions auto-renews every single month. The data actually reflects how widespread this is. The average mid-market company wastes around 18 million annually on underutilized softwares. 47% of employees are actively using tools that IT hasn't approved or reviewed. And organizations that run a structured license review process recover an average of 30% in savings. So the core issue is visibility or the lack of it. Without a reliable real-time view of license usage, procurement teams have no way to identify what's inactive before contracts renew. And without that, there's no leverage in negotiations whatsoever. So this is where license harvesting takes place. License harvesting is a process of identifying, reclaiming and reallocating unused or underutilized softwares, reducing waste and cutting SaaS spend without disruptive active usage. In very simple terms, license harvesting is just harvesting licenses that are inactive or reclaiming them or not moving ahead with them, or maybe reallocating that same license to some other employee in order to save SaaS spend. So the key pain points that most companies and most organizations are currently facing are paid but unused. So there are a lot of licenses in an organizations that they pay full amount for every single month. There's also no users visibility. IT has no data on who is actually using those tools and who is not using those tools. There's also auto renewal traps. So contracts auto renews themselves before anyone can actually audit like how much is the usage actually for, what is the usage, if let's say if a company has like 100 licenses and only 50 are being used, so should they downgrade those 50 or should they remove those 50? Likewise. And there's also budget leaks. Of course, when you are spending on licenses that nobody is using, of course there's going to be a lot of waste there. So this is also a very specific thing that currently a lot of IT leaders are facing. It's it's not just a financial situation and just not a financial problem that a lot of CEOs and CTOs and CIOs are facing, but it's more of a governance failure as well. So first, blind spot spending. Of course, procurement has no real-time view on what licenses are active, which are dormant, or sometimes you have licenses or you're paying for applications that are already there, so it's like a duplicate thing. And there's also renewal overspend. Contracts auto renew at full speed count with no negotiation leverage. Overpaying becomes the default. Of course, if the contracts are on an auto renewal term, you without an actual audit, without understanding how many licenses does your organization actually require, of course it's going to be an overspend. And then there's of course compliance and audit risks and offboarding leakage. A lot of times in a lot of organizations, employees, they leave that company, but the licenses still keep on running and nobody has any idea who's the owner of that, what is going to be the end date, things like that. So this is where CloudEagle shines bright. CloudEagle automates license harvesting at scale. CloudEagle helps you detect unused, underutilized licenses across your entire SaaS stack automatically. It also helps you reclaim licenses from inactive users and reallocate to new hires. There's no manual effort. You also get renewal alerts with usage data, so you negotiate from a point of strength. And you can, of course, with CloudEagle, you'll always stay compliant with full audit trails for every license change and reclamation. So this is what license harvesting is, how it is being a nightmare for so many IT governance leaders right now, and this is exactly how CloudEagle helps you automate. So now I am going to show you exactly. So now I'm going to see how CloudEagle is actually an action, especially with the license harvesting part. So this is like that dashboard. Here you can see all of your managed applications, what are the active users, are there any potential savings that are there, and any employees with potential access. So in order to create a license harvesting automation, you need to go to access management. From here you go to license harvesting. This is the dashboard that will open up for you. You go into build automation for any new automation that you're planning for. You have to select an application through here. You click on add applications, you search the app. Here are all of these applications, right? So you have the user search, like from are they a DI or from Okta, Azure, things like that. And then you get how many provisioned users are actually using that particular application. What is the usage? Like see, for Dropbox, this is like the usage, right? And then you can also track activity there, how like login data, if they're like delete, like see for Notion you can see like the account is like account delete activity, things like that. You can see all of this here. So in the search bar you can search for any application that you want to create an automation workflow for. Let's say I go in with Zoom. I open up Zoom like here. No. Okay, so let's say you go in with Zoom, right, and you click this tick box and then you click on add. So Zoom is added now. So you can see it is like a DI, match users based on specific conditions. So this is where you can you can see like how you want the automation to match the users with like no activity. So in default it is last 30 days, but you can go up to last 180 days. This will help you understand. This will make it very easy for you to see how many people have actually not logged in since the last days. So I'll go in with last 180 days. Okay, if you want, you can add some user detail criteria here, like with their user attribute, like from what department you want, any kind of location, any job role, any job title, things like that. If you want to add it, you can add it from here. I don't have to add it, so I'll just go and delete it. Okay, and then you have automation schedule. So this is like when do you want to run that automation. So you can do it once a week or once a month. For once a week you can keep it for like you can make it like by default it is Monday, right? Selected Monday. So you can like the automation will automatically run on every Monday of every week, or if you want to just do it once a month, then you can also do it. So if you go with once a month, you can see like every Monday, every Monday of that month, every first Monday of that month, the workflow will start. So I'm going to do that only first Monday. You can now add actions in your workflow. Now actions are pretty important, as this will determine how your workflow is going to start with and end with. So we have like two actions here. One are general actions and one is Zoom actions. Like Zoom has app specific actions. So for general actions, you can click on add. You can add the user, like email users for confirmation, right? So if you want to add if you want to send the employee with any confirmation email, this is where you can do it. There's also a response deadline here, like response like after like 3 days, 2 days, 1, whatever you want after sending that email. With this you can see the email preview as well. This is how the email to that particular employee or that particular user is going to look like. And if like the user wants to like keep that license, they can certainly go and click on yes, keep my account. Okay, so this is the first action that I've added here. You can also add review users before deprovisioning. So once the workflow has started, the harvesting process will pause for a second for the admin to actually review those users and determine if they want to like keep their license or if they want to remove their license. It's like pretty simple. You can also see the preview email, view email preview from here. This is how it is going to look. The admin can start the review from here. If you want to edit this email, you go to edit, and by default it is the application admin, but if you want to choose some other person here, you can do that, and this is like the email, and then start review. This button will be, okay, and then you just click on save. So this is also done. Then we go into app specific actions. So first you go with remove user. If you want to like remove that user from that account, you can also add a new user to the Okta group, or you can remove the user from the Zoom Okta group. So remove user from Zoom. So this will like create a workflow and deprovision those users. If direct integration or DI, like if DI or direct integration is not connected, then this particular task or this particular action will go automatically and be assigned to an app admin, right? So if you want to do that, you go into setup. Here by default the app admin is the application admin. Again, you can choose anybody from here if you want to change that particular admin, and if you like want to assign it to somebody else, you can just do it from here. Here's a task description. You can add whatever you want here, by default it is your action is required to deprovision this user, or you can add anything that you want. You can also add your due date, any reminders if you want, or if you want to create an escalation, you can do that from here. So I'm just going to do and save. Then add user to Zoom Okta's group. So you can add any user from the Zoom Okta group. Like if you want to if you want to make sure that if you want to take the license from the Okta, okay. So then we have the next step, which is add user to Zoom's Okta group. So you go in with setup. Here the users will directly be added to the relevant Okta group. You again can go into setup. Here's the task assignee. Here you can assign this to anybody, or if by default it is the application admin, you can add your task description, the due dates, reminders, escalation again, and you click on save. Then here you can choose if you want to take the users from where, which Okta group to. So if I add this new user, right? So I will add this new user to Zoom Basic. Okay, and if I want to remove a user from that Okta group, you can do it from here. Again, you have to go and do the setup, add a task assignee, description, the same process that we followed before, and then you can do it like this. Remove that particular user from Zoom Pro, and you can add that particular user to Zoom Basic. So this is also one of the workflows that are going to happen. Then you go into review. So this is the automation that is created, you can see everything here. So application Zoom, there's any user who has no activity since 180 days will be in that particular workflow. This workflow will start from April 6th and it will run monthly every first Monday of every month, and the deadline for any response deadline, that is 3 days of email. Users deadline will be scheduled for deprovisioning. So if any user has not said yes, keep my account to that, this preview, if any user has not selected yes, keep my account, then that user will automatically be scheduled for deprovisioning. And then you can see the projected here. So projected here are basically the users that we feel like they might, they might be the users that do not have any activity since last 180 days. So we can just easily remove them from here. So this is this is projected users. So here you can see if right now it is 0, but if there's any projected users, then you can, if you click here, you can see the projected username, email, department, all of those things. And if you don't want that, if you want to exempt that user, here there's going to be an option for exempt that user. If you want to keep that user from not going into this workflow, from not getting deprovision, you can exempt that user. That particular option will come here. And this is one excluded user, Raja. Okay, so this is one excluded user. This is the one with the if you exclude any users from here. And then you have exempted users, provisioned 155 users. And then you have provisioned users here. Okay. And once this is done, once you've reviewed the entire automation workflow, you can go and activate it. You can give it a name like Zoom license harvesting, and you can just click on activate, and your automation workflow for deprovisioning and for license harvesting is up and running now. You can see that the status is active. You can see the automation schedule here. There's one application for this. Next scheduled run is on the 6th of April, and this is when it was created. You can see what was the date when it was modified on. If you go into actions, you can edit the workflow from here, right? And if you don't want to do that, then it is up and running. You can also deactivate your workflow, or you can delete the workflow. So this is it, and I hope you guys understood exactly how CloudEagle helps with license harvesting. And thank you so much for staying tuned, and I hope to see you in the next product webinar. Thank you. Let's see